Pierce Brendan Brosnan was born on May 16, 1953, in the small Irish town of Drogheda, County Louth, Ireland. His early life was marked by a unique and deep loneliness, one that was not defined by being alone, but by the absence of the people he needed most. His father, Thomas Brosnan, left before Pierce was old enough to form a memory of him. There was no explanation, no goodbye. His mother, May Smith, a young and determined woman, was forced to leave Pierce with his grandparents in County Meath, while she pursued a career as a nurse in London. At barely 1 year old, Pierce was abandoned by both parents, and the feeling of being unwanted lingered like a shadow over him. Although his grandparents were loving, no amount of kindness could fill the hole left by his mother's absence. This feeling of abandonment would define Pierce's life in ways that no one could have anticipated. The life of a boy who wasn't chosen. As Pierce grew older, he moved between various homes, living with his grandparents, then his aunt, and later with a family friend. Each move reinforced the same message. He was someone else's responsibility, never truly belonging anywhere. School offered little refuge. He was the boy without a father, without a mother, and without the support system that most children take for granted. Pierce kept to himself, quietly observing the world around him. His days were spent drawing and painting, trying to escape a reality where he felt like a constant outsider. He learned to keep his emotions at bay, retreating into the world of art as a means of survival. At St. Kieran's CBS in Navan, he was just another quiet kid in the background. But as much as Pierce tried to blend in, the pain of his past could never be fully hidden. He was always looking for a place to call home, but it seemed that home was always just out of reach. A new beginning in London. At the age of 10, Pierce's mother reappeared. She had built a life for herself in London, remarried, and was now in a position to bring Pierce to live with her. Moving to London was a huge shift for Pierce, but it was also another reminder of how disconnected he felt from the world around him. He arrived in a city that spoke the same language but felt entirely foreign. His mother, now a nurse and a woman with a new life, was a stranger to him in many ways. Though Pierce had a chance to reunite with her, the relationship lacked the warmth and familiarity that he had missed growing up. He felt more like an outsider than ever. Despite living in London, Pierce's heart still ached for the family and the home he had never really known. The feeling of being alone in a crowd stayed with him, and he grew up with the quiet understanding that the world wasn't waiting for him. It never had been. London's indifference and the birth of ambition. London, in the late 1960s, was a city full of ambition and noise, a place where people came to make their names. For a quiet, displaced Irish teenager with no formal training and no connections, it seemed impossible to fit in. Pierce enrolled at the Elliott School in South London, where he found himself academically behind and socially invisible. But London offered something his small Irish town never had: possibility. At 17, Pierce stumbled upon a part-time job with a traveling circus. There, he learned to breathe fire, performing for crowds that didn't know his name. But for the first time in his life, they were looking at him. This was the beginning of Pierce's transformation. The experience of commanding attention, even for just a moment, was intoxicating. He wanted more of it. It gave him the confidence to pursue acting, and he went on to attend the Drama Centre London, one of the most demanding and respected acting schools in the country. The city, with all its challenges, had sparked something in him, an ambition that had been dormant for most of his life. Discovering acting and finding purpose. The Drama Centre. London was a grueling place, demanding that actors dig deep into their personal histories and emotional wounds. Pierce, who had spent his childhood learning to guard his emotions, found that the pain and abandonment he had experienced growing up became his greatest asset as an actor. The raw material of his childhood, the absent father, the mother who left, the years spent being passed between different homes, was now the fuel for his performances. Pierce's journey into acting was not about finding fame or recognition. It was about finding a way to channel his pain into something meaningful. He joined the theater after graduating in 1975, performing in various stage productions. While the pay was low and the work demanding, it allowed Pierce to grow as an actor. He was not an overnight success, but he was becoming something real, something grounded in the depths of his own experience. The love that changed his life. In 1977, Pierce met Cassandra Harris at a party in London. She was already a working actress, strikingly beautiful, and fiercely intelligent. Though she was married to someone else at the time, their connection was undeniable. They became friends first, and eventually, after her marriage ended, they became much more. They married in 1980, and Pierce adopted Cassandra's 2 children from her previous marriage. For Pierce, who had spent his childhood without a father and without a true sense of home, adopting Cassandra's children and creating a family with her was a life-changing act. For the first time in his adult life, he had found a sense of belonging. Cassandra gave him the family and the stability he had always longed for, and together they built a life filled with love and laughter. But in 1987, Cassandra was diagnosed with ovarian cancer, and the life they had built together was suddenly overshadowed by a battle they could not win. Standing by. Love in the face of tragedy. Pierce's world was upended when Cassandra fell ill. He stepped away from his growing career to care for her, putting aside auditions and opportunities to be there for her during her treatment. Pierce's commitment to Cassandra was unwavering, and he was by her side every step of the way. He drove her to treatments, sat with her through long hours, and held their family together with quiet strength. His focus shifted entirely to her and their children. In his mind, nothing else mattered. The sacrifices he made during this time spoke volumes about the man he had become, someone who had learned what truly mattered in life. He later reflected on that period, saying, "You learn very quickly what matters and what doesn't." The years spent caring for Cassandra taught him that love, loyalty, and presence were the things that truly defined a person's life. This quiet determination to put his family first would shape the way Pierce saw the world, and it was this deep sense of responsibility and devotion that would later inform his portrayal of the iconic James Bond. The price of success, a life of both triumph and loss. The personal sacrifices Pierce made during Cassandra's illness shaped the man who would go on to portray James Bond. He became Bond, not despite the hardships he had endured, but because of them. The loss of his father, the absence of a mother, the years of searching for a place to belong, all of these experiences gave Pierce the strength to inhabit a character who had lost everything and carried himself with a quiet, deliberate calm. The boy who had been passed from one home to the next, never truly chosen, became a man who commanded attention from the world. But the price of that success was high. Pierce had been shaped by loss and love, by the things he had never had and the things he had to fight for. And it was those experiences, more than anything else, that gave him the depth and authenticity that made him